The bullet tore through Minho's shoulder before he even heard the shot. He stumbled backward, crashing into his twin brother Minjun, both of them hitting the cold metal floor of the cargo ship. Blood pooled beneath them as more gunshots echoed through the night. 20 armed men surrounded them, and chained to a steel pillar in the center of it all was Lydia, screaming their names through the duct tape across her mouth. Together, Minho gasped, clutching his wound. Together, Minjun replied, raising his gun. But to understand how two of Seoul's most feared mafia kings ended up dying for a woman they once planned to use and discard, we need to go back. Back to where it all started. Back to Christmas Eve. 15 years ago, on a snowy Christmas Eve in Seoul, 7-year-old Minho and Minjun watched their parents' car explode into flames after a rival gang ran them off the highway. The twins stood hand in hand at the funeral, their small faces empty of tears. Something had broken inside them that night. Something that would never heal. They made a vow over their parents' graves, a vow that would define their entire lives. We share everything. We do everything together. No one will ever come between us. They grew up in the foster system, bouncing from home to home, learning early that the world was cruel and only the ruthless survived. By 18, they had built a small gang. By 23, they controlled half of Seoul's underground. By 28, they were kings. Untouchable. Feared. Rich beyond measure. But money and power weren't enough. They needed control. They needed to feel something in the emptiness where their hearts used to be. So they turned to women. Different women every week. Monday through Friday, they rotated their conquests like a sick game. They had a system, a foolproof method of seduction that never failed. They would approach their targets together, usually at the deluxe club they owned in Gangnam. They preyed on the vulnerable, the lonely, the broken. Women with daddy issues. Women going through divorces. Women who felt invisible. Their approach was identical every time. They would tell the women they were the same person, just in two bodies. A spiritual twin flame situation. They would promise experiences beyond imagination, pleasures that normal men couldn't provide. And it worked. Every single time. Minho was the master of foreplay, knowing exactly where to touch, how to kiss, how to make a woman's body sing before the main event. Minjun was the finisher, the one who would take them to heights they had never reached. Together, they were irresistible. Together, they were dangerous. They never felt guilty. These women knew what they were getting into, or at least that's what the twins told themselves. After a night or a week or sometimes a month, they would move on. No strings. No emotions. No complications. That was the rule. Never catch feelings. Never break the bond. Share everything. For 10 years, this system worked perfectly. Until Christmas Eve came around again. The deluxe club was packed that night, Seoul's elite celebrating the holiday with expensive champagne and designer clothes. Minho and Minjun sat in their usual VIP section, surveying the crowd like predators selecting prey. That's when they saw her. Lydia Gabriel, weaving through the tables with a tray of drinks, her dark skin glowing under the club's purple lights. She was different from their usual targets. There was a strength in the way she moved, a guardedness in her eyes. She wasn't trying to be noticed. She was just trying to work. New girl? Minjun asked the manager. Started 3 weeks ago. Nigerian. Works double shifts, sends most of her money home. Keeps to herself. Minho smiled. Perfect. Lonely. Foreign. Probably desperate for connection. They waited until her shift was almost over, then approached her as she cleaned their section. Minho went first, his charm turned up to maximum. You're stunning. I don't think I've seen you here before. Lydia barely looked up. I've been here 3 weeks. You haven't been paying attention. Minjun moved closer, his voice dropping to that husky tone that usually made women weak. We're paying attention now. What time do you get off? We'd love to buy you a drink. She finally looked at them, really looked at them, and something in her eyes made them both pause. It wasn't interest. It wasn't curiosity. It was recognition. Like she could see exactly what they were. I see through your game, she said calmly, picking up empty glasses. Whatever you're selling, I'm not buying. I'm not interested in players, pretty boys, or men who hunt in packs. Find someone else. She walked away, leaving them standing there in shock. In 10 years, no woman had ever rejected them on first approach. No woman had ever seen through them so quickly. Minho laughed, but it sounded forced. She's playing hard to get. They all do eventually. Right, Minjun agreed, but his eyes followed her across the club. Let's find someone else. They did find someone else that night. A divorced woman in her 30s, recently separated, drinking alone. Their usual tactics worked perfectly. By 2 a.m., she was between them in their penthouse, and by morning, she was gone. But Minjun couldn't stop thinking about the Nigerian woman who had looked at them like she could see their souls and found them lacking. For 2 weeks, he pushed the thought away. They continued their rotation. Thursday was a college student rebelling against her strict parents. Friday was a lonely widow. But every time Minjun went to the club, he found himself looking for Lydia. Watching her work. Noticing things. The way she smiled at customers but never let them touch her. The way she helped the other servers without being asked. The way she disappeared during breaks to video call someone, her face softening as she spoke in a language he didn't understand. On the 3rd week, he did something he had never done before. He went to the club alone. Without Minho. He told his brother he had a business meeting, but really, he just wanted to talk to her. Alone. As himself. Not as half of a predatory duo. He waited until the club was closing, until most of the staff had left. Lydia was counting her tips at the bar, her face tired. We got off on the wrong foot, he said, sliding onto the stool next to her. She didn't look surprised to see him. Where's your shadow? I'm alone tonight. I wanted to talk to you. Just you and me. No games. Men like you are always playing games. It's who you are. Maybe I want to be different. She finally turned to face him, and up close, she was even more beautiful. Her eyes were intelligent, guarded, but something flickered there. Curiosity maybe. Or loneliness. Why me? She asked. There are 100 women in this club who would jump at the chance to be with you. Why chase the one who said no? Minjun opened his mouth to give his usual smooth answer, but something different came out. The truth. Because you're the first person in years who looked at me and saw what I really am. And you still weren't afraid. Just disappointed. Like you expected better. Lydia studied him for a long moment. Your parents. They died on Christmas, didn't they? I can see it in your eyes. That particular kind of pain. Minjun felt like she had punched him in the chest. No one ever mentioned his parents. No one ever saw that pain. How did you know? Because I see the same thing in the mirror, Lydia said softly. My mother is dying. Cancer. Back in Lagos. That's why I'm here, working double shifts, sending every naira home for her treatment. So I recognize grief when I see it. I recognize people who are running from something. For the first time in 10 years, Minjun felt seen. Really seen. Not as a mafia king. Not as half of a dangerous duo. Just as a broken man who never learned how to heal. I'm sorry about your mother, he said, and he meant it. And I'm sorry about your parents, she replied. But pain doesn't give you permission to hurt other people. Whatever game you and your brother play with women, it's wrong. You know it's wrong. I know, he admitted. Can I buy you coffee sometime? Just coffee. Just talking. No brother. No games. Lydia hesitated, and in that hesitation, Minjun saw possibility. 1 coffee. If you show up with your twin, I'm walking out. Deal. They met 3 times over the next 2 weeks. Coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into walks along the Han River. Minjun found himself doing something dangerous. Something forbidden. He was falling for her. And he was lying to Minho about where he spent his evenings. Every night, he would come home to their shared penthouse and his brother would ask where he had been. Business meetings. Territory disputes. Anything but the truth. Because Minjun knew what would happen if Minho found out. The rule was absolute. They shared everything. If one had a woman, the other had her too. That was the bond. That was the vow. But Lydia wasn't like the others. She was special. She was his. On the 4th week, Lydia finally agreed to let him come to her small apartment in Itaewon. It was cramped and modest, nothing like the luxury Minjun was used to, but it felt like a home. She made him Nigerian food, jollof rice and plantains, and they talked for hours. About her childhood in Lagos. About his life before the darkness. About dreams they had both given up on. I wanted to be a nurse, she said, sitting cross-legged on her worn couch. I wanted to help people. But then my father died, and my mother got sick, and nursing school became impossible. So I came here. Send money home. Try to keep her alive a little longer. How long does she have? Lydia's eyes filled with tears. The doctors say maybe 6 months. Maybe less. I'm trying to save enough to fly home for Christmas. So I can see her one last time. Minjun pulled her close, and she let him. They sat like that for a while, two broken people finding comfort in shared pain. When she kissed him, it wasn't calculated or seductive. It was desperate. Real. Human. I haven't done this before, she whispered against his lips. Done what? Any of this. I'm a virgin. I've been saving myself for someone who actually cares. Someone real. Minjun should have stopped. Should have told her the truth about who he really was. About the women. About the games. About his brother. But he was selfish. He wanted this. Wanted her. Wanted to feel something other than emptiness. I care, he said, and in that moment, he believed it. I care about you, Lydia. They didn't sleep together that night. Minjun went home frustrated but somehow happy. Confused but hopeful. For the first time in his life, he was thinking about a future that didn't involve crime and violence and meaningless sex. He was thinking about something real. But reality came crashing down 2 weeks later. Minjun's phone rang at 3 a.m. It was Lydia, and she was sobbing so hard he could barely understand her words. She's gone. My mother. She died an hour ago. I didn't make it home. I didn't get to say goodbye. I failed her. I failed her. Minjun was at her apartment in 20 minutes. He found her on the floor, surrounded by empty soju bottles, drunk and devastated. He had never seen her like this. The strong, guarded woman was completely shattered. I have nothing left, she cried. I worked myself to death for nothing. She died alone. I should have been there. I should have been there. He tried to comfort her, but she was beyond words. She grabbed him, kissed him violently, started tearing at his clothes. It wasn't love. It wasn't even desire. It was grief expressed through desperation. She needed to feel something other than pain. She needed to lose herself. Lydia, wait. You're drunk. You're grieving. We should stop. I don't want to stop, she screamed. I don't want to think. I don't want to feel. Just make it stop. Please. Make it stop. What happened next would haunt Minjun forever. She rode him with an aggression that shocked him, crying and screaming and cursing in English and Yoruba and Korean. Her nails drew blood down his back. Her teeth left marks on his shoulder. And despite knowing it was wrong, despite knowing she would regret it, he let it happen. Because some selfish part of him wanted this. Wanted her. Even like this. When it was over, she collapsed on top of him, unconscious from alcohol and exhaustion. Minjun lay there in the darkness, feeling the wetness between them, and that's when he realized. Blood. Not from her period. From her first time. She had been telling the truth. She was a virgin. Had been a virgin. And he had taken that from her while she was drunk and grieving. What have I done? He whispered to the empty room. Morning came with brutal clarity. Lydia woke up, saw him in her bed, saw the blood on her sheets, and her face transformed from confusion to horror to rage in seconds. Get out, she said quietly. Lydia, I'm sorry. Last night you were upset and I should have stopped it. I should have. Get out, she screamed, throwing a lamp at his head. You're just like every other man. You waited until I was vulnerable. You waited until I was broken. You're disgusting. You're a monster. Get out of my house. Minjun left, but his guilt followed him home. He walked into the penthouse at 7 a.m., still wearing yesterday's clothes, smelling like sex and regret. Minho was waiting for him on the couch, arms crossed, expression dangerous. "Where were you?" "Out." "Don't lie to me. You've been lying for weeks." "I'm not stupid, Minjun. I followed you last night. I saw you go into that Nigerian girl's apartment. The one from the club." Minjun's blood ran cold. "Minho, it's not what you think." "Really?" "Because I think you broke our vow. I think you had a woman without me. I think you betrayed our bond. The only thing we have left of our parents. The promise we made over their graves. She's different. She's not like the others. I wasn't using her for sex, I was actually getting to know her. I was actually feeling something." Minho stood up, his face twisted with hurt and rage. "You were feeling something? You were feeling something? We don't feel, Minjun. We don't care. That's who we are. That's what keeps us safe. And you broke that. You broke us." The punch came so fast Minjun didn't see it coming. He crashed into the glass coffee table, shattering it. Minho was on him immediately, fists flying, years of brotherhood dissolving into pure violence. They fought like animals, destroying furniture, breaking lamps, leaving blood on the white marble floors. 10 years. Minho screamed, pinning Minjun against the wall. 10 years we've been together in everything, and you threw it away for some woman you barely know. Minjun shoved him off. "Maybe I'm tired of being empty, maybe I want to feel something real for once in my miserable life. Then you feel it with me. That's the rule. We share everything." Minho's voice cracked. "If you had her, then I'm having her too. That's how this works. That's our bond." "No," Minjun said firmly. "She's not part of our sick games. Leave her alone." Minho smiled, but it was cruel. "Watch me, brother. Watch me." For the next week, Minho researched everything about Lydia Gabriel. He learned she volunteered at a homeless shelter every Tuesday. He learned she attended a small church in Itaewon on Sundays. He learned she was drowning in debt from her mother's funeral costs. And he learned she was avoiding his brother like the plague, refusing to answer Minjun's calls or texts. Minho was a master of deception. If Minjun had accidentally stumbled into her life through genuine interest, Minho would craft his entrance with precision. He needed her vulnerable. He needed her sympathetic. He needed her to feel sorry for him. On a cold Tuesday evening, Minho positioned himself on a bench outside the homeless shelter, dressed in shabby clothes, head in his hands, shoulders shaking with fake sobs. He had researched his role perfectly. When Lydia emerged from her volunteer shift, carrying leftover food donations, she almost walked past him. Almost. "Are you okay?" she asked, that inherent compassion overriding her desire to avoid human connection. Minho looked up with tears streaming down his face. Real tears. He had trained himself to cry on command years ago. "I don't know why I'm telling you this. I don't even know you. I'm sorry. I should go." "Wait," Lydia said, sitting down beside him. "What's wrong? Are you hungry?" "I have food." "I'm not hungry. I'm dying." He let his voice break perfectly. "Stage 4 cancer. Pancreatic. The doctors gave me 6 months, but I can feel it's faster than that. I don't have anyone. No family. No friends. I was sitting here thinking about jumping off Mapo Bridge tonight. Just ending it before the pain gets worse." Lydia's face transformed with sympathy. She knew about cancer. About watching someone die slowly. About feeling helpless. "Please don't do that. Please. I know it feels hopeless, but there's always another option." "What option?" Minho asked, staring at her with perfectly crafted desperation. "Dying slowly in a hospital bed. Being a burden? I'd rather die on my own terms." They talked for 2 hours. Minho spun a beautiful lie about being an orphan, about losing his parents young, about building a life alone only to have it stolen by disease. Every detail was designed to mirror Lydia's own pain. To make her feel connected to him. To make her feel responsible for him. "Come home with me," she finally said. "Just for tonight. You shouldn't be alone." Let me make you dinner. Let me prove that someone cares. Minho pretended to resist, then reluctantly agreed. Perfect. Exactly as planned. At her apartment, Lydia made him food and tea. She showed him her mother's photo and told him about her recent loss. Minho listened with fake sympathy, studying her, learning her triggers, finding her weaknesses. She was lonely, grieving, desperate to save someone since she couldn't save her mother. Perfect. You remind me of someone, Lydia said, staring at him. Someone I'm trying to forget. Bad ex-boyfriend? Something like that. He turned out to be a liar. Like all men. Not all men, Minho said softly. Some of us just want to be honest. To connect. Before it's too late. He put medicine bottles on her table. Fake prescriptions he had printed. I'm sorry. I need to take my pain medication. Of course, Lydia said, getting him water. When she turned away, Minho crushed 2 sleeping pills into her tea. Not enough to knock her out completely. Just enough to lower her inhibitions. To make her pliable. It was a technique he had used dozens of times before. 20 minutes later, Lydia was swaying on her couch, giggling at things that weren't funny. I feel weird, she said. I only had 1 glass of wine. You're probably exhausted, Minho said, moving closer. You work so hard. You care so much. You deserve to be cared for too. He kissed her neck softly. She should have pushed him away, but the drugs made her body respond instead of her mind. Within minutes, they were tangled together. Lydia rode him with the same desperate aggression she had shown Minjun, and Minho experienced the exact same shock his brother had described. This wasn't like their usual conquests. This was different. Intense. Real. Her warmth, her tightness, the way she moved, the sounds she made, it was perfect. Too perfect. For the first time in his life, Minho felt something during sex other than power. He felt connection. And it terrified him. Morning came with devastating consequences. Lydia woke up naked next to him, memories flooding back. No. No, no, no. Not again. What did you do to me? Lydia, I can explain. She saw the medicine bottles on her table. Grabbed them. Read the labels. Her eyes widened with recognition. These are fake. I've seen enough medical paperwork from my mother's treatment. These are fake prescriptions. You don't have cancer. You lied. Minho's mask slipped. Lydia, please. You drugged me. You drugged me and you raped me. She was crying now, scrambling away from him. Who are you? Why are you doing this? I'm Minho. Minjun's twin brother. The color drained from her face. Twin. He has a twin. You're brothers. Oh God. Oh God, you're both monsters. You planned this. You're the same person. We're not the same. Get out. Get out before I call the police. Get out. Minho left, but unlike his brother, he didn't feel guilty. He felt confused. Why had it felt so different? Why did he care that she was crying? What was wrong with him? Back at the penthouse, Minjun was waiting. You did it, didn't you? You went after her anyway. I did, Minho said coldly. And now we're even. The bond is restored. We've both had her. We can move on. We're not even. You don't understand. She was special. She was just another woman. Then why are your hands shaking? Minjun asked quietly. Why do you look like I feel? Like you just lost something you didn't know you needed? Minho didn't answer. Couldn't answer. Because his brother was right. Something had changed. Something had broken. Or maybe something had finally started to heal, and that was more terrifying than staying broken. For 3 weeks, Lydia ignored both of them. Changed her number. Moved to a new apartment. Switched to morning shifts at the club. She was done with the twins. Done with men. Done with trust. But late at night, alone in her new place, she would catch herself thinking about them. Both of them. The way Minjun had listened to her. The way Minho had felt inside her. And she hated herself for it. The flowers started appearing on the 4th week. Not expensive bouquets from fancy shops, but single roses. One at her doorstep every morning. No note. No name. Just a rose. Lydia threw the first 7 away. But on the 8th day, she found a note attached. I'm sorry. No games. No lies. Just truth. I miss you. Minjun. The next day, another rose with another note. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But I need you to know you changed something in me. Minho. Lydia crumpled the notes and threw them away. But the roses kept coming. Every single day. Different notes. Different confessions. Minjun's were poetic and desperate. Minho's were blunt and raw. Both were persistent. On the 15th day, she arrived at work to find Minho waiting outside the club. On his knees. In front of everyone. Seoul's feared Mafia king was kneeling on the dirty sidewalk in an expensive suit, head bowed. What are you doing? Lydia hissed. Get up. People are staring. Let them stare, Minho said loudly. I don't care. I need you to know I'm sorry. I lied to you. I manipulated you. I drugged you. I'm a monster. You were right about me. But you were also the first person who made me want to be better. This is another game. Another manipulation. It's not. I'm terrible at apologies. I've never apologized to anyone in my life. I don't know how to do this. But I'm trying. Because you deserve someone who tries. Lydia wanted to stay angry. Wanted to walk away. But something in his voice sounded genuine. I can't do this. I can't trust you. Either of you. Then don't trust us, Minho said, standing up. Just give us a chance to prove we're different now. One coffee. One conversation. If you still hate us after, we'll never bother you again. 3 days later, Lydia found herself sitting in a quiet cafe with both twins across from her. It was awkward and tense. She kept her arms crossed, her expression guarded. Why am I here? She asked. What do you want from me? Minjun spoke first. We want to be honest. About everything. About who we are. About what we did. About what you made us feel. We're not good men, Minho added. We've hurt a lot of people. We've used a lot of women. We built our entire lives on being empty. On not feeling anything. Our parents died on Christmas when we were 7, Minjun continued. We watched them burn. Something broke inside us that night. We made a vow to always stay together. To share everything. To never let anyone come between us. For 10 years, we used that vow to justify hurting people, Minho said. We told ourselves we were honoring our parents' memory. But really, we were just scared. Scared of feeling. Scared of being vulnerable. Scared of caring about something we could lose. Lydia listened silently, her expression unreadable. When I met you, Minjun said, you were the first person who saw through our act. The first person who looked at me and saw what I really was. And instead of running toward it like the others, you ran away. That intrigued me. Then I got to know you. Really know you. And I started feeling things I hadn't felt since I was 7 years old. Before the fire. Before the emptiness. I broke our vow, Minjun admitted. I pursued you without telling Minho. I was selfish. I wanted you just for me. And when you gave yourself to me that night, even though you were grieving and drunk, even though it was wrong, I felt something real. Then I felt guilty for the first time in a decade. When I found out, Minho said, I was furious. Not just because he broke our vow, but because he found something I didn't have. Something real. So I went after you too. I manipulated you. Drugged you. Did unforgivable things. Because I was angry and hurt and I wanted to prove that you were just like all the others. That there was nothing special about you. But I was wrong, Minho continued, his voice cracking slightly. You were special. You are special. When I was with you, I felt the same thing my brother felt. Connection. Humanity. Something other than emptiness. And it terrified me. We're not asking for forgiveness, Minjun said. We don't deserve it. We're just asking for a chance. A chance to be different. A chance to be the men you made us want to be. Lydia was quiet for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. I should hate you both. I should report you to the police. I should never speak to you again. You should, Minho agreed. But I can't stop thinking about you, Lydia admitted, tears forming in her eyes. Both of you. I've tried. God, I've tried. I tell myself you're monsters. That you used me. That everything was a lie. But then I remember the way Minjun listened to me talk about my mother. The way Minho looked at me like I was the only person in the world. And I hate myself for wanting that again. You're not crazy, Minjun said softly. What you feel is real. What we feel is real. Maybe it started wrong, but it's real now. How would this even work? Lydia asked. I can't be with both of you. That's insane. That's not how relationships work. We've never done a relationship before, Minho said. We've never wanted one. But we want this. We want you. Both of us. And we know it's unconventional. We know it's complicated. But maybe we can figure it out together. No more lies. Lydia asked. No more lies, they said in unison. No more games. No more games. If this happens, it's real. All of it. You don't get to walk away when you get bored. You don't get to treat me like I'm disposable. You're not disposable, Minjun said. You're everything. Lydia looked between them, these two identical faces hiding two broken souls. She should say no. Should walk away. Should protect herself. But she had been protecting herself her entire life, and where had it gotten her? Alone. Working herself to death. Unable to save the one person she loved most. Okay, she finally said. One chance. But if either of you hurts me again, I'm gone. Forever. Understood. Understood, they both said. What followed were 2 months that felt like a dream. The twins courted her properly this time. Minjun took her to art galleries and poetry readings. Minho took her to shooting ranges and motorcycle rides. Together, they showed her Seoul from the perspective of kings. They took her to rooftop restaurants where they owned entire floors. They bought her dresses she would never have been able to afford. They made her laugh. Made her feel safe. Made her feel wanted. The physical relationship developed slowly this time. No drugs. No manipulation. Just genuine desire. Minjun was tender and attentive, learning every inch of her body like he was studying scripture. Minho was intense and passionate, pushing her boundaries while respecting her limits. Together, they gave her experiences she had never imagined. Not because they were skilled, though they were, but because they actually cared. They paid attention. They asked what she wanted. They made it about her pleasure, not their conquest. Lydia found herself falling in love. Not with one of them. With both of them. It was confusing and unconventional and sometimes overwhelming. But it was also beautiful. She had 2 men who would do anything for her. 2 men who were learning how to be human again because of her. 2 men who made her feel like the center of the universe. They were learning too. Learning that vulnerability wasn't weakness. Learning that caring about someone didn't make them less powerful. Learning that love was scarier than any gang war they had ever fought. Minjun started talking about the future, something he had never done before. Minho started smiling genuinely, not the cruel smirk he used to wear like armor. I want to meet your family someday, Lydia said one evening as they lay tangled together in the twins' penthouse. When this is real enough. When we're ready. We don't have family, Minho said quietly. Just each other. And now you. Then I'm your family, Lydia said firmly. All 3 of us. We're a family now. It was a strange family. Unconventional. Built on a foundation of lies that had somehow transformed into truth. But it was theirs. And for 2 months, they lived in paradise. They didn't talk about the Mafia business. Didn't talk about the violence. Didn't talk about the past. They just existed in their bubble, pretending the outside world couldn't touch them. But the past always catches up. Always demands payment for sins committed. Kim Sang-woo had been watching for months. The drug lord remembered the twins well. Remembered how they had destroyed his marriage 6 months ago. He had been negotiating a territory deal with them when things went south. The twins, never once to accept defeat, had seduced his wife as a power play. Sent him photos. Ruined his reputation. Made him look weak in front of his organization. Kim had sworn revenge, but the twins were too powerful to attack directly. So he waited. Watched. Searched for a weakness. And then he saw her. The Nigerian woman who made the twins smile. Who made them act like lovesick boys instead of ruthless kings. Who had somehow accomplished what no one else could. She had given them something to lose. Perfect, Kim said to his lieutenant. We take her. We make them watch her suffer. Then we kill them all. It happened on a Wednesday evening. Lydia was leaving the club after her shift, walking to the parking lot where Minjun was supposed to pick her up. She never made it to the car. A black van pulled up. 4 men grabbed her. Chloroform pressed against her face. The world went dark. She woke up on a cargo ship, her head pounding, her wrists zip-tied to a steel pillar. The ship was docked at Blasian harbor. She could see the lights of the port through the small windows. Kim Sang-woo sat across from her, smoking a cigarette, watching her wake up with a smile. Good evening, Miss Gabriel, he said in perfect English. I apologize for the rough treatment. But you're very important to me. You're the key to destroying 2 men who destroyed me. Who are you? Lydia asked, her voice shaking. What do you want? I want them to suffer. The way I suffered. They took my wife. My dignity. My reputation. So I'm taking their heart. You. He pulled out his phone and made a video call. Minho and Minjun appeared on screen, their faces transforming from confusion to horror as they saw Lydia tied up. You have 2 hours, Kim said calmly. Come to Blasian harbor. Pier 17. Cargo ship named Lucky Dragon. Come alone. If I see police, she dies. If you bring backup, she dies. If you're late, she dies. Just you 2. For her. Seems like a fair trade. The call ended. Lydia sat in the darkness, crying, praying. She had brought this on herself. If she had just stayed away from them. If she had just said no. If she had just been smarter. But then she thought about the past 2 months. The laughter. The connection. The love. And she realized she wouldn't trade it. Even if it ended like this. Even if loving them killed her. It had been worth it. They had been worth it. 2 hours later, she heard footsteps on the ship. Lots of footsteps. Then voices. Then Minjun appeared, followed by Minho. They looked terrified, and she had never seen them scared before. Lydia, Minjun shouted, running toward her. Stop right there, Kim's voice echoed through the cargo hold. Suddenly, lights flooded on. 20 armed men stepped out from behind shipping containers, surrounding them. Did you really think I'd make it easy? The twins stopped, hands raised, guns pointed at their heads from every direction. Let her go, Minho said. This is between us. She's innocent. Innocent. Kim laughed. She chose to love monsters. That makes her complicit. Besides, I don't want to kill her. I want you to watch her watch you die. That's real suffering. Wait. Lydia screamed. Before you kill them, I need to tell them something. Please. Just 1 minute. Kim shrugged. Why not? Last words are important. Make it good. Lydia looked at the twins, tears streaming down her face. This wasn't how she wanted to tell them. She wanted it to be special. Romantic. Perfect. But life wasn't perfect. Life was messy and complicated, and sometimes you had to say the most important thing at the worst possible moment. I'm pregnant, she said. The world stopped. Everyone froze. The twins stared at her like she had spoken a different language. What? Minjun whispered. I'm pregnant. 8 weeks. I found out 3 days ago. I was going to tell you this weekend. I was going to make it special. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry this is how you're finding out. Kim started laughing. Laughing so hard he bent over. Oh, this is perfect. This is beautiful. She doesn't even know which one is the father. The Mafia twins who share everything finally have something they can't divide. This is poetry. But Minho and Minjun weren't thinking about paternity. Weren't thinking about whose child it was. They were thinking about one thing only. Lydia was carrying their future, their redemption, their chance at being something other than monsters. And she was about to die because of their past sins. The twins looked at each other. No words needed. They had been communicating without speaking for 28 years. They knew what had to be done. Together, Minho said quietly. Together, Minjun replied. They moved as one. Years of fighting together made them synchronized, deadly. Minjun threw himself at the nearest gunman, grabbing his weapon. Minho charged left, taking down 2 men before bullets started flying. Chaos erupted. Gunfire. Screaming. Blood. The twins fought like demons, taking down man after man, but there were too many. A bullet caught Minjun in the chest. He stumbled but kept moving, kept fighting. Another bullet hit Minho's stomach. He fell but got back up. They were making a path toward Lydia, toward freedom, toward their future. Kim pulled out his own gun, aimed at Lydia. If I can't have revenge, I'll have her death. Both twins screamed "No" and threw themselves in front of her. The bullets hit them instead. Once. Twice. 3 times. They fell against the pillar where she was tied, their blood soaking her clothes. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had heard the gunfire. Kim's men scattered. Kim himself ran for the far exit. It was over. No, 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 Lydia sobbed, her tied hands reaching uselessly for the twins. Please. Please don't die. Please. I love you. Both of you. Please don't leave me. Minjun coughed blood. We're not leaving. We're just going ahead. We'll save you a spot. Raise our child, Minho wheezed. Doesn't matter whose. Ours. Tell them their fathers learned to love. I can't do this without you, Lydia cried. Yes you can, Minjun said, his eyes starting to close. You're the strongest person we ever met. You saved us. Now save our baby. The twins reached for each other's hands, their fingers intertwining like they had at their parents' funeral 21 years ago. They looked at Lydia one last time, both of them smiling despite the pain. Thank you, they said together, for teaching us how to be human. And then they were gone. Just like that. The 2 most feared men in Seoul died holding hands, protecting the woman who had changed everything. The police found Lydia screaming, covered in blood, still tied to the pillar. They rushed her to the hospital. Checked the baby. Somehow, miraculously, the baby was fine. She was fine. Physically. Emotionally, she was destroyed. They never found the twins' bodies. The Coast Guard searched Busan Harbor for 3 days, but the current was strong, and the water was deep. Seoul's Mafia kings had disappeared into the sea like ghosts. Some said they survived. Some said they faked their deaths. But Lydia knew the truth. She had felt their last breaths. She had seen their eyes go empty. They were gone. 1 week later, a lawyer contacted her. The twins had updated their will 2 months ago, the day after she had forgiven them. Everything they owned, the penthouse, the clubs, the businesses, millions in assets, all of it went to her. And there was a letter. Handwritten. Both of their handwriting mixed together on the same page. Lydia sat in their penthouse, surrounded by their things, their smell still lingering in the air, and read their final words. Lydia, if you're reading this, we're gone. We knew our past would catch us eventually. Men like us don't get happy endings. But you gave us something better. You gave us a real ending. A meaningful one. We were monsters playing at being human. You taught us the difference. We're sorry for how we started. Sorry for the lies, the manipulation, the pain. We don't deserve forgiveness, but you gave it anyway. Everything we own is yours now. It won't bring us back, but it'll take care of you and our child. Yes, our child. Not mine or his. Ours. We died protecting the only real thing we ever had. That's better than we deserved. Live fully. Love freely. Tell our child their fathers were devils who learned to be human because of an angel. Forever yours, Minho and Minjun. Lydia folded the letter carefully, placed it in a box with the 2 rings they always wore, and looked out at Seoul's skyline. Her hand rested on her still flat stomach. Your daddies were complicated men, she whispered. But they loved you. And they loved me. And that's enough. 6 months later, Lydia stood at Seoul Harbor, her pregnant belly obvious now. She placed 2 white roses in the water, watching them float away together. I'm having a boy, she told the sea. I'm naming him Minjun Minho Gabriel. So both of you live on. So neither of you is forgotten. The roses drifted farther out, side by side, never separating. Some love stories don't have happy endings. But some have real ones. And sometimes, real is better than happy. Sometimes, real is enough. If you enjoyed this story about love, redemption, and sacrifice, hit that like button and subscribe for more emotional stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Drop a comment below telling us what you thought about the twins' journey from monsters to men. Would you have forgiven them? Could you love 2 people at once? Let's discuss in the comments. And remember, sometimes the most broken people are capable of the most beautiful transformations. Until next time, keep believing in second chances.